Most men over 60 are drinking water the wrong way. And before you skip this isn't about some strange diet or a detox trend. This is about a simple, overlooked habit that may directly affect how blood moves through your body. And when blood flow is restricted, everything changes. Your energy drops, your focus fades, and certain things you used to take for granted start feeling uncertain. But here's what most men never realize. The way you hydrate, not just how much, but what you add to your water, may play a much bigger role in vascular health than anyone ever told you. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to understand something about your body that most doctors don't spend nearly enough time explaining. And one simple habit may influence this more than most men realize. If you're over 60, think about the last time you felt completely like yourself. Sharp, strong, confident, present. For a lot of men in this stage of life, that feeling has slowly become harder to access. Not because of one dramatic event, but because of small, quiet changes happening inside the body, changes that built up over months, maybe years, until one day you just notice something felt different. Maybe you wake up tired even after a full night of sleep. Maybe you feel a heaviness in your legs by afternoon. Maybe there are moments of hesitation where there used to be certainty. And if you've experienced any of that, I want you to know you're not imagining it. And more importantly, it's not just getting older. There's actually a very specific biological mechanism that many researchers now believe is at the center of all of this. And it starts with something called blood flow. Here's the thing about blood circulation that most men don't fully appreciate until something feels off. Your cardiovascular system is responsible for delivering oxygen, nutrients, and signals to every single part of your body, every organ, every muscle, every tissue. When that system is working well, you feel it. You have energy, you feel alert. Your body responds the way you expect it to. But when circulation becomes compromised, even slightly, the effects ripple outward in ways that aren't always obvious at first. You might notice fatigue before you notice anything else, or a subtle loss of drive, or that certain physical responses just aren't as quick or as strong as they used to be. And here's what's interesting. Researchers studying male vascular health have found that these kinds of subtle changes often begin earlier than most men expect, in some cases, long before any formal diagnosis. Which means the window to support your body naturally, before things become more serious, is wider than many people think. Now here's where this becomes really interesting. One of the key players in healthy blood flow is a molecule your body produces naturally. It's called nitric oxide. You may have heard of it before, or maybe this is the first time. Either way, understanding what it does and what happens when levels drop changes the way you think about male health after 60. Nitric oxide acts like a signaling molecule inside your blood vessels. When it's present in healthy amounts, it tells the walls of your blood vessels to relax and expand. This process is called vasodilation, and when vasodilation happens properly, blood moves more freely. Oxygen reaches the muscles and organs that need it. The heart doesn't have to work as hard, and the body, including the systems responsible for energy, performance, and stamina, functions the way it was designed to. But here's what most men never hear about. Nitric oxide production naturally declines with age. Significantly, studies suggest that by the time a man reaches his 60s, his body may be producing considerably less nitric oxide than it did in his 30s and 40s. And this isn't a minor fluctuation. It's a structural shift in how the body manages vascular tone. What that means in practical terms is that blood vessels may become stiffer, less responsive, less efficient at delivering what the body needs when it needs it. And this affects more than just cardiovascular fitness. It affects energy levels during the day. It affects recovery after physical activity. It affects mental clarity. And yes, it affects intimate performance. Because sexual response in men is fundamentally a vascular event. It depends entirely on blood moving efficiently into specific tissues at specific moments. When nitric oxide is low and circulation is sluggish, that process becomes unreliable. And that unreliability, that hesitation, that pressure in private moments, is one of the most psychologically heavy experiences a man can go through quietly. And this is where things start to get interesting. Because for a long time, the medical conversation around these issues focused almost entirely on hormones, testosterone, hormone replacement. And while hormones absolutely play a role, researchers have begun paying much closer attention to the vascular side of this picture. Because what many experts are now observing is that for a significant number of men, the issue isn't primarily hormonal, it's circulatory. The plumbing, so to speak, isn't moving things the way it should. And when you address circulation, when you support the body's ability to produce and maintain nitric oxide, many men report noticeable improvements in energy, stamina, and overall vitality. Not overnight, but consistently, over weeks and months. Which raises an important question. If nitric oxide is so central to how men feel and function after 60, why does its production decline so dramatically? And more importantly, what can you actually do about it? Part of the answer lies in a combination of factors that are almost unavoidable in modern life. First, there's diet. Nitric oxide is synthesized in the body from specific amino acids, particularly L-arginine and L-citrulline. These compounds are found in certain foods: beets, leafy greens, watermelon, nuts, lean meats. But here's the problem. Most men over 60 aren't consistently eating the quantity of these foods required to meaningfully support nitric oxide production. Life gets busy, diets shift, and the digestive system becomes less efficient at absorbing nutrients from food as we age. So even when men are eating well, the body isn't always extracting what it needs. Second, there's oxidative stress. As the body ages, free radical activity increases, and free radicals don't just damage cells, they actively break down nitric oxide before it can be used. This creates a cycle where production slows and destruction accelerates simultaneously. And remember that molecule we mentioned earlier, the one responsible for signaling your blood vessels to relax and expand. That molecule is being depleted faster than your body can replace it. Third, and this one surprises a lot of men, there's the issue of hydration. Specifically, how you hydrate. Water is essential for blood volume. When blood volume drops, even mildly, as happens with chronic low-level dehydration, the cardiovascular system has to compensate. The heart works harder. Blood pressure fluctuates, and circulation to peripheral areas, including areas critical for energy and performance, becomes less reliable. But here's what most men don't know. Plain water, while important, doesn't address the electrolyte balance that governs how efficiently cells absorb and use that water. Many men are drinking adequate amounts of water and still experiencing the cellular effects of dehydration, because without the right mineral balance, water doesn't enter cells efficiently. It passes through. And the tissues that depend on proper hydration to function, including vascular tissue, stay undersupported. This is the part of the hydration conversation that almost never gets discussed, and it matters more than most men realize. Now here's something most men completely overlook. The timing and composition of your daily fluid intake may directly influence your body's ability to synthesize nitric oxide throughout the day. Here's why. Certain minerals, particularly magnesium and potassium, play a critical supporting role in vascular function. Magnesium, for example, is involved in over 300 enzymatic processes in the body. One of its key roles is supporting the relaxation of smooth muscle tissue in blood vessel walls, which is essentially what nitric oxide facilitates as well. When magnesium levels are low, blood vessels are more likely to remain constricted. Blood pressure rises, circulation suffers, and nitric oxide has a harder time doing its job even when it is present. Potassium works alongside magnesium to maintain the electrical balance across cell membranes, which governs how cells communicate, how muscles contract, and how blood vessels respond to neural signals. When this balance is off, the whole system becomes less efficient, less responsive, and the result, again, is impaired circulation. So what does this have to do with how you drink your water? When you add the right combination of electrolytes and specific compounds to your water, particularly in the morning, when the body is naturally in a mild state of dehydration after sleep, you're doing something important. You're giving your vascular system the building blocks it needs to function optimally from the start of the day. You're supporting cellular hydration at a deeper level. You're helping maintain the mineral balance that governs smooth muscle function in your blood vessels. And you're creating conditions where nitric oxide, if the supporting amino acids are also present, can do its job more effectively. This isn't a miracle, it's biology. And the men who understand this biology and act on it consistently are the ones who tend to report better energy, better stamina, and a greater sense of physical confidence as they move through their 60s and beyond. And this is where things start to get really specific, because there's a combination of natural compounds that researchers have studied in the context of male vascular health. And when you look at what these compounds do together, the picture becomes quite clear. L-citrulline is one of the most studied amino acids for nitric oxide support. Unlike L-arginine, which the body can struggle to absorb efficiently, L-citrulline is converted into L-arginine inside the kidneys, where it's released gradually into circulation. This means it provides a more sustained supply of the precursor the body needs to synthesize nitric oxide. Several human trials have examined L-citrulline in the context of blood pressure, exercise tolerance, and vascular function. And what researchers suggest is that consistent supplementation may help support healthy blood vessel tone over time. Not dramatically, not overnight, but meaningfully in men who maintain consistent intake over weeks and months. L-arginine itself still plays a role, particularly when combined with L-citrulline. Think of them as working together. L-citrulline extends the window of availability. L-arginine provides direct substrate for nitric oxide synthesis. Together, they may support the body's ability to produce and maintain nitric oxide more effectively than either compound alone. And then there's Panax ginseng. This root has been used in traditional medicine for centuries, but what's interesting from a modern scientific perspective is that specific ginsenosides, the active compounds in Panax ginseng, have been studied for their potential to support endothelial function. The endothelium is the inner lining of blood vessels, and it's one of the primary sites where nitric oxide is produced and released. When endothelial function is compromised, nitric oxide output drops. When it's supported, the whole circulatory system benefits. What researchers suggest is that certain ginsenosides may help protect and support endothelial cells, which means supporting the very source of nitric oxide production in the vascular system. But here's what's important to understand. These compounds, L-citrulline, L-arginine, Panax ginseng, magnesium, potassium, are not medications. They're not treatments for any condition. They're nutrients, natural substances that support biological processes the body was already designed to perform. The distinction matters because what we're talking about is not overriding the body's systems. We're talking about giving those systems the raw materials they need to function as intended. And when you're over 60, that support becomes more necessary, not because something is broken, but because the biological environment has changed. Nutrient absorption is lower, oxidative stress is higher. The diet may not consistently deliver optimal amounts of these specific compounds, and the body's own production of key molecules like nitric oxide has declined naturally with age. Supplementing intelligently, not randomly, but based on what the science actually suggests, is one of the most practical things a man in this stage of life can do for himself. Now, let's come back to the water habit, because this is where everything connects. If you're drinking plain water throughout the day, which is better than nothing, absolutely, but you're not addressing the mineral balance, the amino acid availability, or the cellular hydration efficiency, you may be leaving a significant part of your vascular support untouched. What many men in their 60s and 70s have found helpful is a very simple morning habit, beginning the day with water enhanced by a specific combination of electrolytes and nitric oxide support compounds. Not a complicated protocol, not an expensive intervention. A simple, consistent daily habit that works with the body's natural rhythms. In the morning, the body is naturally in a fasted, mildly dehydrated state. The digestive system is primed, cellular absorption is efficient, and the cardiovascular system is preparing for the demands of the day. Starting that window with the right compounds, rather than plain water, creates a foundation that supports circulation, energy, and vascular tone from the ground up. And remember the men we talked about earlier, the ones experiencing fatigue, the ones feeling that quiet hesitation, the ones noticing that something just feels different. the ones who felt like they were leaving a version of themselves behind. What most of them have in common is not a single catastrophic event. It's a gradual depletion, a slow drift away from the conditions that once made them feel capable, confident, and fully present. And that drift, because it's slow, is easy to normalize, easy to accept as just aging. But here's what the research increasingly suggests. Many of the things men attribute to inevitable aging are actually the result of specific addressable biological deficiencies, not permanent conditions, not fixed destinations, but deficiencies in nitric oxide support, in mineral balance, in circulatory efficiency that can be meaningfully addressed with consistent, intelligent habits. That's not hype. That's what the science is pointing toward, carefully and consistently. So, what does this actually look like in practice? It doesn't require a dramatic lifestyle overhaul. It doesn't require expensive procedures or prescriptions. What it requires is a commitment to a few specific, consistent daily habits, with particular attention to what you're putting into your body first thing in the morning and throughout the day. Supporting nitric oxide production, maintaining proper mineral balance, ensuring cellular hydration is efficient, not just fluid intake, and giving the body the amino acid precursors and botanical compounds that may help sustain vascular function as naturally and effectively as possible. For men who want to explore a natural way to support this process, there's a resource available in the description below. It's not a magic solution. It's a carefully formulated approach based on the compounds we've discussed, designed specifically for men over 40 who want to support their circulatory health, their energy, and their vitality naturally and consistently. Take a look when you're ready. There's no pressure, just information. Here's what I want you to take away from everything we've covered today. Your body is not broken. It's adapting. And the changes you feel, the fatigue, the hesitation, the quiet loss of the sharpness and strength you once had, those are signals. Not final verdicts, signals that specific systems need support. And when you understand which systems and what they need, you can respond intelligently. Nitric oxide isn't just a molecule in a biochemistry textbook. It's central to how your blood moves, how your cells are nourished, how your energy is sustained, and how your body responds in the moments that matter most to you. Supporting it through hydration habits, through targeted nutrition, through consistency is one of the most direct things you can do for your vitality after 60. And the men who understand this and act on it don't just feel better physically, they feel more like themselves, more confident, more in control, more present in their relationships, in their work, in their daily lives. That's what male vitality actually looks like. Not perfection, not turning back the clock, but showing up fully, feeling strong, clear, and capable every single day. If you found this helpful, and this video gave you a new perspective on your health, subscribe for daily content on men's vitality after 40. Drop a comment below. What's the one change you're going to make first? And if you know a man who needs to hear this, share this video with him.